Hi, it's Yvonne here from Myrtle and Eve. Today I'm going to show you how we turn the corner in Torchon lace. So let's begin. To demonstrate this, as you can see, I have drawn a simple square that we're going to make just in Torchon ground. And as you can see, I've almost finished working the first quarter of that square. So the first thing you need to do when you're about to turn the corner is you need to work right to the very end of the side that you're working on. So let's just do that. Okay, and last pin. There we are. Now then, turning the corner in Torchon really is as easy as turning the corner. So what we're going to do is just make sure all our bobbins are lined up over our cover cloth to support them. And then we're going to gently turn our pillow 90 degrees so that the next section we're going to work is facing the right direction. And then we're going to use our cover cloth to very carefully just support your bobbins. Don't want to put too much pressure on the threads, and swing it around. And now everything's all lined up to work the next section. Now before we do that, we're going to just push the pins in. And this is because as you keep working around, you're going to eventually be working over the top of that section, and you don't want things in the way. So we'll just leave the last row up. Okay, so the next thing we do is just, it might be helpful if this is your first time working a corner, just check, and they should do, but just check so that you can see it for yourself, that each of the threads match their pinhole on the adjacent side. So the first two will go to the first pinhole, then you'll have another pair for the next pinhole, and so on and so forth. Okay, so just move a few little bits I've got in the way here. Okay, so now we're going to begin. So first we're going to begin working the very first pinhole in section number 2. So I'll put up my pin because I've already worked a stitch in the previous one. And there we go, there's pin number 1 in section 2. And then we're just going to work it down the line as you normally would. So we're making sure that we're taking the pair, that is the next one, and making sure that you can see these ones I've done, that they come directly over from the pinhole, the last pinhole on the first section we worked, and they're coming straight over to the pinhole on the next section. If you find they're on a funny angle and not straight over, then you might want to check your work and just see where you might have gone wrong. So just keep them coming straight across and you'll be fine. Okay, now that we've worked that first row, we can push down the last remaining row of pins in section number 1. Okay, so go ahead now and finish section number 2. In part 1, we looked at how to turn a simple corner. But what do you do if there's a motif crossing the corner as well, such as you'll find in my Emmeline pattern? There's rose ground that goes across the corner. So I've drawn a simple rose ground in here, and let's have a look at what to do. So I've worked up to my rose ground, now I just need to work the rose ground. Okay, so I'll just finish this part of the quarter. And then we'll get back to the rose ground. Now, as you can see, this last movement here in our rose ground goes across the corner that we're going to turn. So what do we do here? So we're just going to work the stitch, but we're not going to put any pins in just yet. So once again, we'll carefully put our bobbins onto our cover cloth, rotate the pillow through 90 degrees. You might need to move your pin cushion at this point. Okay. And then we bring our bobbins around once again and push the pins in previously. So it's much the same as before. We just have to pay a little extra attention to the fact that we have a stitch that's floating and waiting to be secured. So once again, we will take our bobbins and we will work this next quarter as before. So making sure the pairs come across the line. This time, however, we're only going to work as far as our rose ground motif, because before we can keep coming down the line here, we need to have worked this stitch here, this first little section of our rose ground. So let's just do that. So I'll start with putting in a little triangle of ground at the top. Okay, that's finished, and I can work our rose ground motif. So work the first two pairs there. We already have these ones worked from before we turned the corner, and so now we can work the middle section of our rose ground. Finish it off, and there we go. Having worked our rose ground, we're now able to finish off the rest of this line down the turn. Then we'll finish anchoring our motif. Or you could do this first, it really doesn't matter, as long as just be careful of where the threads are all going and that you don't get anything muddled up. Okay, I think we're done. Okay, so then we finish that shape. This, when I say shape, I mean quarter. So there we go. We finished that quarter and we're ready to turn the corner again. So just remember, it really is as easy as turning your pillow. First we'll just put the bobbins on the cover cloth, turn your pillow 90 degrees, bring the bobbins around, pay attention to any pattern that may be crossing the corner, and off you go, ready to do the next section. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found that helpful. Bye.